This is an Xbox controller. I know it looks a bit weird, but that's because it's a DIY option, which started as, I think, arcade controllers, but evolved into being able to replicate full-on console controllers. And everything runs on this little board here, which is a Waveshare Zero, and it runs a custom firmware that you can find on GP2040ce.info. You can basically use it to make your custom controller, which is pretty good if you're trying to make your own handheld game console like I am. And if you're interested in seeing more videos regarding that topic, I've got a playlist in the description that you can look at. Also subscribe, because there's more videos related to this topic, well actually only related to this topic, come in. And also you don't want to miss the full build at the end, so yeah, subscribe because there's loads of things coming. And now let's see how much I struggled to actually get this working because it wasn't as simple as you may think. So this is the breadboard that we're going to be working on. I think my camera is not able to pick up everything that's happening in the frame, so apologies for that. I'll try to center it as much as I can, but I'm going to be building everything here in front. So this is the microcontroller that I'm going to be using. It's called RP2040 Tiny, and it's made by a company named Waveshare. I think they do displays, they do all kinds of stuff. I've also got these joysticks from Adafruit. They come with this nice breakout board. And for the buttons, I have these things here, which I'm thinking about using for the D-pad and, you know, the normal buttons. They're nice and squishy. They've got this membrane kind of thing, so basically they emulate the controller buttons more or less. I've also got these buttons. I'm thinking about using them for the shoulder buttons, but I don't know for sure yet. I could still be using the membrane ones. I've also got black ones, but they're the same thing. It doesn't seem that different for me, to be honest. So I guess I should just wire everything up. And then, yeah, once it's wired up, I'll put the firmware on it and see if it works. Actually, now that I think about it, first off, we need to solder some pins. Oh, that's a lot of flux for these little pins here. I've got some jumper cables, but I've also got some solid core wires, which I kind of want to use because I don't think I've ever used them for a breadboard before. But actually, let me cut a bit just so I'm sure that they'll even fit in there. Okay. They do work. But I'll be a bit careful with this one. Yeah. Should be fine, it doesn't have to be perfect as long as it makes contact is good. Right, now let me look up how to wire these buttons because I have no idea. Since I've got my soldering iron on, it'll probably be a good idea to solder the joysticks as well. So let's put some flux on these bad boys. Sure, probably need a tabletop vise for this, but it's too much setting up with that thing, so it'll work just fine. So I can actually hold this up if I need to, like this. That'll be actually pretty funny. Now it's time to wire some buttons. Start and stop, well, the other one is start and menu or something. Then let's do the D-pad. I'm gonna start maybe pin 5, just because I like even. This is not an even number, it's an odd number, but it's 5, so you can go up by 5 and stuff, you know, weird autistic things like that. here, because of the footprint, I only have so much space to play with, so yeah. It's alright. We'll manage. It worked now. Luckily I have another 10, so these are just gonna be used for testing purposes. I'm gonna use these tactile switches. I'm gonna put one in between, which is probably gonna infuriate a few people, but it is what it is. You can't win all of them. Cool. And now let's do some wiring. I had a look at the wiring, but I just realized I don't really like the layout because I've got these buttons here where I could just move the D-pad and stuff down here and move that a bit higher. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna put some down here under the sticks as L3 and R3. So it's basically a complete controller. I'm gonna start with a ground because that's the easiest thing to do. So my other camera has died because it overheated, so I need to let it cool down, but I'm gonna finish wiring off camera. It's nothing too interesting, and then once I'm done, that should be cooled down and we can continue the video. I think that everything's wired up. Now let me download the firmware and try to install it on the board. I have no idea how to do that yet because I've never worked with this, but it's probably pretty straightforward. Hey, it's Editing George here. I've mentioned that it wasn't easy to build this, and that's because I have went through 4 days of turmoil because for some reason the right side just wouldn't work. The reason why I'm doing this little interjection now is because I've lost all the footage of the test that I was doing, so there's no way of me to show you, but basically what was happening is no buttons on the right side of the controller would register at all, and the analog stick was going haywire for some reason. And after I've done a complete rewiring of everything and tried to make it look neat and manage all the cables properly, I realized that the problem was actually my own equipment. But I'll get into it more later in the video. I've been doing some research and trial and error on this controller thing, and I think the problem that I have is some of these wires, especially on the ground side, might be corroded, so the whole right side of the controller doesn't work. But then I started connecting pins to the ground, and the pins work fine, so it can't be the board itself. So that's why I thought it's the jumper wires. So it's got something to do with the breadboard arrangement. So now the plan is I will replace all these jumper wires with hand cut wires that I have, solid core, whatever. So hopefully those will work, and if those won't work either, then I don't know what else I'm gonna do. So I don't know. This is gonna be my first time doing this, but let's try some movie magic and swap all these in one click of a finger. That took way longer than I expected. But also, while I was doing this and testing as I went along, I realized that my whole hypothesis about the jumper wires was wrong, so this was in the end a bit unnecessary. But it looks neat, and I can actually pick it up and hold it and probably use it as a controller, so that's pretty good. Well, that's not good, but nothing a bit of blue tack won't fix as soon as I find where the blob is. So yeah, it turns out my breadboard is absolutely rubbish, because this is what happens. I had to jump the rail that is supposed to be connected. I had to jump it from one side to the other because somehow it's split down the middle here, but also here. So when I was testing the controller with the jumper wires, this whole side wasn't working, obviously, because the ground wasn't working, either on this side or this side, but anything from where the USB is to the right was disconnected from this side. So you know, it was a nice learning experience, but yeah, whoever made this breadboard, I hate you forever, and I hope you suffer, and your family as well. But yeah, now it works. I've got the controller test on the screen. Unfortunately, I don't have any games on my Mac, and I don't have RetroPie on the Raspberry Pi. Otherwise, I would have tested a few games. But as you can see, if I move the analog sticks, they work, which is so nice to see considering how much trouble I went through. This is the 4th day I'm working on this. And yeah, buttons as well. I've got the buttons. We've got the triggers. What's the sticks as well? They don't show on the thing, but they're registered as inputs. Also select and start. I've got all the buttons basically. So this is recognized as an Xbox 360 controller. I think I can even change it to be recognized as an Xbox One or PS4 controller. There's all sorts of things. But that's been it. It's been an interesting journey, definitely eventful. I was a bit stressed, I'm not gonna lie, because I didn't know if I was gonna finish the video in time, but somehow the stars aligned and I managed to fix the problems right before I had to make the video. So yeah, if you're interested to see the progress on the actual console, do subscribe, because videos are gonna come every week, hopefully, unless something that is unforeseen will happen. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Bye.